Hey guys, I recently received a new rugby jersey, which I'll show off in just a tick. But yeah, there's a few news stories out today, or at least the last couple of days, about Jamie Joseph, about Saracens, and Stuart Hogg's been in the news as well for some of his talk about what Sonny Bill Williams has been up to. But yeah, I'll start with the kind of big story, I guess, here in New Zealand anyway, which is about Jamie Joseph, who was one of the guys seemingly in line to take on the All Blacks job after Steve Hansen. That process is ongoing. But yeah, he's confirmed that he's out of the running, and he is going to continue on with Japan until the 2023 World Cup in France. It's unusual as well, the New Zealand Herald's reporting that New Zealand Rugby actually took the time out to congratulate him on the appointment, the reappointment, and said that the process for appointing the new All Blacks coach is ongoing, and they should have news on that next month. So yeah, it's a big call. I'm not sure if I haven't seen any personal statements from him, whether he's kind of got unfinished business, kind of work in progress thing he wants to see through, whether he thought, maybe the All Blacks job was maybe not attainable. I'm not sure. I mean, maybe he just genuinely loves working with those guys in Japan and wants to keep on doing what he's doing because, yeah, why not? So, yeah, it's an interesting story. He's a great coach. He's had success wherever he's gone. So, or at least his last couple of appointments have gone pretty bloody well. So, yeah, congrats to him. And I look forward to seeing what he can do with that Japan squad going forward. I still think Foster is probably the front runner for the All Blacks job, but I guess we will wait and see. Northern Hemisphere, the big focus at the moment seems to be on Saracens with the points deduction they've copped after their salary cap issues. So if you haven't heard, they are being deducted 35 points on the log and fined £5.36 million, which is a fair bit of coin. Apparently it's the biggest ever punishment handed down to a team, and it's been, at least in the article I read, labelled as kind of financial doping. So we all get up in arms about when players are doping, but if the club's kind of doping the finances, I guess that's equally bad. But yeah, it's basically payments that have been going to players outside of their regular salaries, which has been under scrutiny. So it's nothing new. It happens in sports a fair bit. Rugby League has seen it before down here in the Southern Hemisphere, and I'm sure it's not the only case of this thing happening. There's no rules that will see them stripped of any titles, although some of the other teams are kind of less than happy about those rules. So I can't see that changing. At least there doesn't seem to be a framework for it to change. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Saracens now, because they're still in the Champions Cup, but with that points deduction, they are now bottom of the log on like minus 22 points. So I think their focus is going to be just staying in the Premiership. I think historically they did the maths on basically if in all these previous seasons they had been deducted points, would they have stayed up? And yes, generally I think pretty easily they would have stayed up, but I guess we'll see what happens. So also what happens with the players is going to be in question as well, as to whether with these books now having to be totally in order, will they be able to retain all their playing staff, or will they have to kind of offload some people to other clubs? That will be an interesting one to watch, because they certainly have got a lot of big name players, and there's even talk about their sponsor maybe dropping out, because I think it was like 7 years that they've got. Yeah, Allianz, they've got a 7-year deal for the shirt and for the stadium. So yeah, that's not a good image look for them. Now this does kind of tie into the new jersey I bought, because I bought it before the scandal, but it's the new Saracens jersey. It's the jersey for the 2020 season. I've done a review of this on Patreon, so if you are keen to check out my thoughts on this jersey, go check it out there. And because I hit 20,000 subscribers during the World Cup, I figured I'd get this one customized. And kind of funny that it's a money reference now, but it's got 2 cents 20 on the back, the 20 representing the 20,000 subs that I got. So I'm a reserve loose forward, I guess. But yeah, interesting timing, but a Saracens jersey nonetheless. I do kind of lack for jerseys from the Premiership. I've got a Bath one, and a Northampton one too, but yeah, kind of lacking in that department, so that at least filled a wee bit of a gap there. But yeah, that's the deal with that. And lastly, before I go, this one may be kind of just the media stirring up a bit of stink. But Sonny Bill Williams has signed on to go to the Toronto Wolfpack and play rugby league. I think he's getting about 10 million New Zealand dollars a year, which is a fair bit of coin. Going to make him one of the highest paid rugby or league athletes in the world. I think maybe the highest paid. So there's reports that Stuart Hogg has been basically saying that the guy should have had his focus on the World Cup rather than a big money deal. And also because they asked Sonny Bill how did he kind of get over the World Cup loss, or how long did it take him? And he said, I was fine probably 24 hours after the game, even I reckon about 5 or 10 minutes after. I guess that's been interpreted as, by some quarters, him saying that he didn't care. Like anything that you can get over that quickly must be something you didn't care about. But I think he's taking kind of a philosophical approach that there's no point on dwelling over what's done. So what's done is done. I've had a great career and 3 World Cups would have been nice, but let's look forward rather than backwards. Whereas it seems in some quarters that's been interpreted to be he didn't care. Stuart Hogg was quoted as saying, you're in that situation, you don't care enough. You got to care about your own performance. You got to care about your team's performance. You got to care about the environment you're in. If you're not caring, ultimately, what's the point of being there? And for me, I think Sonny Bill's mind is off it for other reasons, and I think he's pretty happy, which is a pretty cutting line. I love everything he's done, but I've always found that he's in the biggest competitions possible: Rugby World Cup, Rugby League World Cup, back to Rugby World Cup, boxing, and then the last one he mentioned was about I can't find that line about basically being better off in the pocket. I must have not put that one in here, but yeah. Anyway, so yeah. It's an interesting one. I mean, the media here did kind of try to kick up a storm when Sonny Bill announced that he was signing with the Wolfpack by saying, I remember I saw a press conference where they asked them kind of directly, when did you know you were going to go? With their angle being, if it was before the semi-final, were you distracted by this big money offer? And I think in the press conference, not to quote him, but to paraphrase, was basically, I knew my manager was dealing with something on this, but I told him I don't want to know about it until the World Cup side of things is done, because that's my respect for the jersey and all that jazz. So, yeah, probably just a little bit of a storm in the teacup, and maybe the media trying to spin things and whatnot. I listened to a podcast, again, somebody on Patreon sent me the link to that, about Warren Gatland being interviewed about the kind of the barbs that went back and forth between him and Eddie Jones. And there's like, and this is going to be news to nobody, that the media likes to spin things, but they took a quote that Gatland had said and then put that to Eddie Jones out of context, and then that's what kind of caused Eddie Jones to come up with that, he should be focusing on the 3rd and 4th playoff game. But yeah, Warren in the podcast basically said that he goes to dinner with Eddie and they're pretty good mates and whatnot. So, yeah, media trying to cause headlines. But, yeah, that's pretty much it. Jamie Joseph staying with Japan, which I think is pretty cool news for the game. I really hope he can kick off and keep them going forward. They need more top quality games, which I hope they get. Saracens are going to be in a fight for the Premiership anyway, and I wouldn't be surprised if in the Champions Cup they start playing a less than full strength team, which may be welcome news to those in their pool. And yeah, there's been a bit of news about Stuart Hogg and Sonny Bill Williams. But you guys let me know your thoughts, and yeah, I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.